The one thing, and I don't want to, I know you've done several of these radio interviews, so I'm going to try to avoid the cliche questions other than that first one everybody asks you.
Those are the best ones.
I want to get into more of the meat of the discussion here. I wish we had you here for a couple of days. Unfortunately, it's just for today. So let's start talking about the subjects itself and some of the debate that comes up when you discuss religion. The one thing that stands out to me, David, and I'm sure that you've seen this before, you've talked about it in your book, is that when you're discussing religion and the fact that people accept it on blind faith, so to speak, it seems like there's a double standard when applying rational scrutiny to other phenomena. For example, UFOs. The things that to a normal, rational person seem so far-fetched that they're laughable, when you rationally discuss and examine Christianity, there's a double standard because rationally a lot of it doesn't hold up, but it's supposed to be accepted on blind faith.
Well, I don't think you should reject any proposition, however far-fetched it sounds, without an investigation. For example, quantum mechanics sounds preposterous to me, but I know through 100 years of scientific research that it's a very valid science. I don't wholly dismiss the UFO claims, though I haven't seen any convincing evidence that that's so, and I don't immediately dismiss the idea of there being a God. I think that's one of the most fascinating subjects that we could possibly discuss. And I spend a great deal of my time reading books written by Christian apologists. And so I don't dismiss it out of hand.
And maybe this is something you found in people you've come in contact with. I'm one of those people who I truly want to believe, but what I have a problem with is my rational and logical thought processes, taking a look at some of the evidence or lack thereof, and really coming to the conclusion that I'm just going to accept that. Do you find that that's common in someone who is studying religion and the prospect of atheism, a desire to believe that inspires them to look for the data that they unfortunately find tends to be lacking?
Absolutely. I wish it were true. I wish that I could someday see my mother again. She passed away in 1993. I loved her very much. I wish I could see her again. I wish I could live eternally. But if we substitute our wishes for reality, then it becomes wishful thinking.
Let me ask you, David, do you get a lot of people who automatically assume that atheists, by nature of their lack of faith in God or Christianity, are therefore bad people and unable to live what religious fanatics or even just the religious people would call a good, quote, Christian life?
Yes, that's one of the most pervasive smears about atheism, is that atheists have no sense of morality, no ethics, which of course is a very bigoted idea. If you were to say that about someone on racial grounds, that he's Chinese or he's African American and he therefore has no sense of ethics, well, that would be considered absolutely outrageous, as it is. But you can say that about an atheist. Well, he's an atheist, so he can't possibly have any sense of ethics.
I think, and it's something we've discussed on this show before, I think that with or without your belief in God or Christianity, there are certain things that are just human nature, things that we should do because it's the right thing to do as a human. And I think that obviously you can live a good, quote-unquote, Christian life. You can do the right things. You can treat people with respect.
Yes.
I think that those are human qualities, not necessarily religious qualities, because any religion you look in has got those same qualities. They can be applied to any book that you choose to read.
Well, a lot of people, when they discuss evolution, imagine that evolution would produce a human being who was just savage and fought to the death. Well, any species of animal, human or non-human, who had the propensity to fight to the death for no reason at all would quickly drive itself into extinction. Almost all species cooperate with each other. For example, even ants, they work together in a very complex way in an ant colony, and most animals share their food with other members of the species. There is some competition, just as humans, unfortunately, have wars and things that I would prefer we didn't have, but there is an altruistic benefit to evolution.
We're going to take a commercial break so that we can stay on time. Our phone number is 623-3865. Our email inbox, rperdue@wvradio.com. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the examination of some of the scientific arguments for and against Christianity. Is there proof? Is there evidence that can substantiate the Bible? Many Christians feel there is proof. Many scientists feel there is not. We'll get into that discussion, and we invite you to join us when we come back on the morning edition right after this. Talk Radio 103.3. Welcome back in. 623-3865 is our phone number. Phone lines are open. You can also email rperdue@wvradio.com. Call in, send us questions. Our guest today is David Mills. He is an atheist and an author from right here in West Virginia. He lives in Huntington and has published 3 books on the subject. He's appeared several times on national radio and television shows to discuss the topic as well. And David, let's try to talk about some of the arguments, I guess, and the ongoing debate, which I think will never end. When I've talked about this show or talked about this topic on the show before, I've tried to look for empirical evidence, something that I can tangibly back up. And one thing I get is I've had a lot of callers and emailers say, "Well, go to answersingenesis.com or look at the Bible tells you this." You can't, if you're looking for independent data, you can't read page 1 of the Bible and then support that by reading page 43. You need independent sources. Yes. And it seems to me for some of the major historical events that are depicted in the Bible, you would think that there would be more historical references and data and more historical evidence that these things took place. A lot of these things, however, don't have reference anywhere outside of the Old Testament.
Well, you're exactly right. And people will often ask, can you point to a single scientific error in the Bible? And we have to look no farther than Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. We know from science that the universe, or the heavens, is about 13.7 billion years old, whereas the earth is slightly less than 5 billion years old. So we can say absolutely that the heavens, which is to say the rest of the universe, and the earth did not come into existence together in the beginning, as Genesis 1:1 says. So that's the first big error. The second is in Genesis chapter 11, we have the genealogies from Adam to Noah, from Noah to Abraham, from Abraham to David in the other parts of the Old Testament, which give a chronology and tell how old each of the individuals was when he had a son or daughter. We then pick up the chronology in the New Testament from David to Jesus in Matthew chapter 1 and Luke chapter 3. And it was through this means that Archbishop James Ussher calculated several hundred years ago that the earth, according to the Bible, is about 6,000 years old. Now, many people today just don't read the Bible, don't care, don't take it literally, and that's fine. I don't take it literally either. But if you do, if you are serious about your beliefs, if you accept the Bible as written, then you must accept that the earth is about 6,000 years old. Also, according to Genesis, the great flood of Noah occurred in the year 2348 BC. Well, we know that the Egyptian civilization was alive and well before, during, and after that year. We know that the Indus Valley civilization, the Aegean civilization, the Greeks, survived. So there was no worldwide flood. So the entire book of Genesis is ridiculous. It just didn't happen.